Welcome back to America Decides. In just over 48 hours, the federal government will partially shut down unless Congress can pass a spending bill. Now, I know you've heard that story before. Shutdown stories are kind of circular in Washington. They come and go. What you haven't heard, though, is what we're going to talk about now. New reporting from Wired finds that Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency just might want Washington to close down for a few days. Makena Kelly and Vittoria Elliott have both been covering Elon Musk and Doge for Wired. Let's see. Makena is in Zoom, and Vittoria is on our Studio 57 in New York. So, Makena, talk to me about, no, Vittoria, forgive me. Checking my notes here. Just check your notes, Major. Vittoria, tell me about Elon Musk, Doge, and their underlying interests, though not spoken out loud, in favor of a partial government shutdown.
Yeah, so I think, when we're talking about a shutdown, the fundamentals of a shutdown means that every agency has to go through the people that work for it and categorize them as essential or non-essential. And the narrow definition for essential is really like protecting people's lives or property. So, air traffic controllers, for instance, not going to be paused in a shutdown, but things like maybe food inspection, that could be the type of role that might be paused during a shutdown. And I think this really aligns with what Doge has been trying to do, which is mass government layoffs. We've already seen them coming into agencies like USAID, what they've tried to do with the CFPB. And really what we're seeing here with the government shutdown was this would be a very expedient way to sort of push more people out of the government, especially in a longer shutdown where maybe even if you can't fire people because they're furloughed, people have to pay rent, people have to feed their kids. If a shutdown goes on for too long, that can be a way to force people to resign.
Even though President Trump has said he doesn't want to shut down, Musk hasn't said anything really publicly about this. So this is something that if it happens, it'd be okay with him, I guess.
Well, so reporting from myself, Leah Feiger, and Jake LaHoot found that, in closed-door meetings, it seems quite clear that Musk is pro-shutdown, even as Trump and maybe other Republicans are trying to keep the government open. I think the bigger thing, too, is, federal employees that I spoke to for weeks have been concerned about a possible shutdown and the way that could sort of further what Doge has been trying to do in either forcing employees to resign or pushing them out of the government via reduction in force or a RIF. And again, forcing agencies to categorize people into who's essential and who's not, which is already something that the administration has been trying to push agencies to do. When you're looking at a shutdown, it's much more austere. So that's sort of the bare bones that can keep anything running. And even that kind of work, could be something that could be useful to Doge in the future.
Makena, you have reporting on Doge and a chatbot. Is that something that Doge imagines can replace federal workers, chatbots?
Yeah, so a lot of the leadership at the General Services Administration, which is the agency leading this effort, or accelerating it, I should say, there is this chatbot called GSAI, very clever name, that essentially the Biden administration people at GSA had been working on for several months prior to the inauguration. But this was one of the products that Stephen Ehekian, TTS director Thomas Shedd, they saw this in the GSA portfolio. And they said, oh, this is something we really like. This is something that Doge will probably like. So they accelerated the adoption of it. And as of last week, about 1,500 employees at GSA are now using it. The interface is very similar to ChatGPT, to other products that AI products that we're used to using every day, where we ask it a simple question and it delivers us some kind of response. And so I think the thought is, going into what could be a possible government shutdown, or, continued rifts, continued firings would be, if we have less heads, let's try and replace them, or at least make the employees that we continue to employ more efficient, with the use of this chatbot.
And also using other AI tools, again, to reduce the size of the workforce and possibly speed things up, if possible.
Correct. A couple of weeks ago, I reported about how Doge was currently talking to folks at the Defense Department trying to get a copy of this software called AutoRIF. The Defense Department started this software and started building it back in the 90s, I believe, and it has been continually updated. And it's one of these products that you can input some data about the government workforce, and it'll shoot out like a template for how to conduct a RIF. So the Doge folks are definitely using whatever AI-related efficiency tools in order to get their goals accomplished.
And RIF is not a quick-witted speech. It is reduction in force. Makena Kelly and Vittoria Elliott from Wired, thank you very, very much.